Yes, you can join the pool table.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carice Gravy. I am the president of the USCL Chemistry Club. If you haven't already, those of you who are here, go ahead and go to the back. Make sure you get some pizza. Quick update, if you are interested in the Chemistry Club, we have our first meeting tomorrow in Bradley 207 at 12:20, and you do not have to be a chemistry major to be part of that. Okay, but for today, so I'd like to welcome you all to our first Careers in Science lecture of the semester. I'm excited to introduce our speaker, Emily Lehman. Emily was a student at USCL between 2018 and 2020, where she earned her Associate of Science degree with leadership distinction. Emily worked as an undergraduate research assistant with Dr. Scarlett, Dr. Galanka, and Dr. Johnson. She transferred to USC Columbia, where she completed her Bachelor of Science degree in Environmental Science in 2022. She's going to talk to us today about how her undergraduate research experiences helped her to find her passion. Please join me in welcoming today's speaker, Emily Lehman.
Thank you. So just a little bit about me. As she said, I did go to USCL. I started in August of 2018, and I graduated in May of 2020 with my Associate of Science. After that, I transferred down to Columbia, and I was there for 2.5 years. I did an extra semester, and I graduated a month ago today, I believe. Thank you. Thank you. I graduated with my Bachelor's of Science in Environmental Science. I have a cute dog. I just want to throw her up there. I'm showing her off. I'm currently looking for a job. It is a little difficult, but there's a lot of options, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. So for me, when I came to this school, it was nerve-wracking. It's scary. It's a new place. It's a new time. It's not high school anymore. It's college. I didn't know anyone. I came, and I remember on my first day being so nervous, and I didn't know what was going to happen. And the first thing I would tell any freshman on their first day, or just tell anyone who's transferred or anything, get involved. I remember Dr. Johnson talking about chemistry club, and I was like, oh, I don't think I'm that good at chemistry. Like, I don't know about this. But then she was like, there's free food. And that's what got me in. I remember the first time I went, I was like, we're going because there's free food. So me and a couple of people from my class, we went to chemistry club, and kind of ever since there, we were just a part of it. We went to every meeting. We did field trips. We did activities. These were just a couple of the picture on the right is a field trip. We used to go to Andrew Jackson High School. I don't know if y'all still do that, but at the time we did, and we would do science experiments with the high schoolers and help them learn about chemistry. And then on the right, we did a science fair here, and it was for the younger kids to come in and just be involved with science and hands-on learning and everything like that. And it was just a great time. After my freshman year, I believe, I started going to the research club as well. That was also something I was a little timid about. I'd always been interested in research and undergrad research, and I was like, I want to do this. I want to be involved, but it's kind of scary. It's a lot. I just started going, and again, I fell in love with it. I loved it. Another way to get involved, and I highly recommend this, befriend your professors. They are here to help you. They want to see you succeed. And especially, I feel at this school, they will do anything for you guys. They really will. I love South Carolina, Columbia. I really do. But the process down there to make friends with a professor is very different than it is here. Also, getting in research down there is a little bit different too. I talked to some professors, but you have to go through an interview process, like a screening process, and then your first year of doing research down there, you're not actually doing the research, you're just kind of helping along the way, kind of doing the dishes and everything like that. So start here. Another thing too is just don't be afraid to ask for opportunities. My friend Andrew and I think I can't remember what it was. I think in the summer in between my freshman and my sophomore year, we were like, we kind of want to do research and we didn't really know what to do. We had just taken Dr. Scarlett's class and he had talked about his research with herons, and we were like, what if we just ask him, like, what could happen? I mean, the worst he's going to say is no, like, that's it. So we did. And then it just kind of happened from there. He gave us an opportunity to do observational research with herons, and we would go out there early in the morning and we would watch the herons and watch them feed and stuff. And it was really cool. That was kind of my first taste of doing research. It was outside, it was in nature, and that just kind of sparked my interest in environmental science. From there, I believe in an advising session with Dr. Johnson, she brought up potentially doing GLD, and we went over all of the requirements, and to me, it seemed like a lot. I was a little timid because it was so much work, but I decided to do it because it looks great on your resume. And I mean, the research is just great, like it was amazing. So I decided to do GLD, which brought me to my independent research. I think that's on the next page. Oh, no. Which brought me to my independent research, where I looked at the effects of essential oils and hydrosols, which is the other part of the essential oil when they it's the other part of the essential oil, but I looked at those on different microbes, and then that was another kind of like sparking my interest, like this is something I want to do. I think the mix between being in a lab like this and being outside doing observational research really made me fall in love with science in general, and also really made me just love learning. Like research just kind of made me just fall in love with learning. And with GLD, you also have to create a portfolio. You have to put together a portfolio. I still use it today. I just actually updated it. I need to do a little tweaking on this paragraph, but I update it all the time. It's on my resume. I've had jobs, like I was just talking to Dr. Easley about this. I've had jobs reach out to me and be like, hey, like, unfortunately, we're moving forward with other applicants, but we just want to let you know, we really like your resume. We really like your website. It's big. It takes a lot of time off your hands as well if you do it now, and you have your professors who will help you along the way. So this is the poster that I made that I was supposed to present for Discover USC in April of 2020, but unfortunately COVID happened. And I was unable to do that. I did do a voiceover presentation though, but I wasn't able to do it in person. During COVID, I spent a lot of time working on my portfolio. I had to stop, of course, coming to school, and I wasn't able to do my research, so it took a halt. But we were able to put together this project, and I was able to talk about it, and I still have it. And I look back on it. I think I looked back on it a few times within the semester, and it just reminded me why I'm doing what I'm doing and where I'm trying to get to. And it just reminds yourself, it just reminded me, like, this is why I'm doing it. I want to be able to show this off, and I want to continue to make things like this to show off. During COVID, when I was at school, I transferred to South Carolina during that time. And it was, like, I won't lie, I feel like it was difficult for a lot of us. It was very difficult. I transferred, I was just kind of stuck in the house, couldn't really meet anyone. So I just had my 2 roommates, and I just needed some kind of release. I couldn't be like, it was wake up, okay, eat breakfast, go in my room, okay, let's do class, okay, lunch, okay, class, okay, go to bed. Like, it was just like the same cycle over and over again. And it just wasn't going very well for me. Columbia has a lot of river walks. Of course, here you guys can walk around. There's Andrew Jackson State Park, like down the road, like there's all kinds of stuff. I started going outside a lot more. I'd look at the birds and I'd listen to them. And then it just kind of also, it reminded me of the research and reminded me of, like, I love doing that. Like, I really liked doing that. And then I just kind of, I wanted a major that was more that speed. I did also forget to mention, when I started school, I was pre-pharmacy. So I would have been in school for another 4 years after I left here, or 5 years after I left here. And then I would be inside, working inside. And I just had a hard time kind of wrapping my head around the fact that I'm stuck inside right now, and like my mental health is not very well. Like, I don't know if I can do this for a career, kind of. So I started talking with my advisor, and I told her, I've done research outside. I really like it. I've done research inside. I also really enjoy that. What's a major where I can kind of mesh those things together? So we went through a couple options. Environmental science, environmental studies, which would be a BA, not a BS, marine science, just biology. Yeah, I think those were all the options that we worked through, and looking over everything in the courses, I ended up on environmental science. So I was able to mix biology, chemistry, research, everything in that major. So that's what I graduated with. And I absolutely love it. There are so many different pathways you can take this. I didn't even realize when I was in school, even a month ago, if you told me, hey, you could work with an engineering firm, I would have been like, no way, I can't do that. Like, that's not my degree. We never once talked about that. But yeah, I can. Those are like all the jobs I've been looking at right now. So in my job market, I can be an environmental scientist, which again is with an engineering firm, and you're just kind of, they'll give you a piece of land and they'll be like, can we build here? And you're basically like, well, no, you can't. There's endangered species. Or like, yeah, you can, but you kind of have to like work around some things. I applied for a job as a researcher with this company called CSS down in Charleston, and it would be looking at harmful algal blooms along the East Coast. And that one is probably my #1 job right now. They've reached back out to me a couple times. We've gone through kind of a screening process, which I will say another thing too, everything you're learning is important. You think it won't come back up again, and it's going to come back up. When they emailed me back, they sent me a list of 15 questions, just random questions. One of them was, do you know how to do molarity calculations? And I was like, oh, I learned this my freshman year with Dr. Johnson. Like, yeah, I know how to do it. And then they're asking, you know, how's your math? I don't know how I'm going to use, I know I'm going to have to use some kind of math, but I'm not really sure. I guess somehow, but everything you learn is going to be important. And not only in the jobs it's going to be important, but it will come back up in your other classes. I also have applied for environmental consulting jobs. So with these kind of jobs, these companies want to figure out how to lower their carbon footprint on the earth. And my job would be to say like, hey, like instead of, I don't know, I like have so many examples, I can't even pick one. Like instead of, you know, like running the lights 5 hours a day, how about we try 4 hours a day, and we'll work around it. Like little things like that, just to lower their carbon footprint. You can also look at government jobs with this major as well. There are so many out there. You can work with the EPA, you can work with NOAA, you can work with the geography department. I've applied for a few of these. I think a government job would be great, I think, because they have like pretty good benefits, but they take forever to get back to you. When I was in school, I applied for a job, I think in the beginning of November, and I don't know if they just don't want to respond to me, but I still haven't heard anything back. And yeah, those jobs are great. They can take you around the world too. Even the government jobs, like you'll be like, oh, well, I want to go to, I don't know, Canada. I want to go to Mexico. I want to go to Panama, something like that. Government jobs, you can still get a government job there. I've seen some of those as well. You can also do marine biology with environmental science. This is another thing. When I was in school, I didn't realize that, okay, I'm graduating with an environmental science degree. Okay, my jobs are strictly environmental science. That's not true. I don't know if anyone else thought that, but I thought that way. I can do marine biology, I can do marine mammal studies, I can do biology, I can do chemistry, I can do anything really. There's some jobs in marine biology that in the job description, and this kind of goes for any job, in the job description, it might say you need X, Y, and Z. And you're feeling that you don't have enough, like, oh my gosh, like they could never pick me, all that kind of stuff. Apply anyways, because you never know. And sometimes they do it purposely just so certain people you think like that and then you don't apply, but go for it. That's how that research job, I believe that's how they reach back out to me. I think it's just because I kind of went for it. Another really, really, really cool job with my degree that you can get is you can become a park ranger. The jobs are very hard to get. They're very competitive because now everyone wants to be outside and everyone wants to do it. But that job would be amazing. Sometimes they provide like government housing and like a food stipend, but like, could you imagine like you get a job like at the Grand Canyon and that's where you live? Like that's what you see all the time. Like you're just out in nature. Trying to think like what other jobs, because I know there was like a big one that I was missing. You can also, of course, go back and get your master's or your PhD. I did also look at doing this because when I graduated, I was very excited because, I mean, you guys know, exams are a lot. Homework is a lot. Studying is a lot. It's a hard process to get through. And I was so happy that I was finally done. But I was very sad because I love to learn and I was kind of upset that I was losing that piece a little bit. So I started looking into my master's degree and or a PhD degree. And that way I would also still be doing research, and then I could still like do research. Like that would kind of be like my job coming out of that, is I could still do research. I've kind of stepped off that a little bit. I feel like I want to go out in the field and get some experience first and then maybe go back and get my master's. But I feel like if you want to do that, any of you guys are interested in the science field, getting your master's or going for a PhD, I highly recommend asking one of your professors if they have an opportunity for you to do undergraduate research. It will help you so much. It won't even help you just with your resume and your your resume and applying for jobs, but it's also going to help you in your life, like learning with school. I think I studied probably the hardest that semester because I had so much going on, and you learn to love your research, and it really helps you in every aspect of your life. And I think that's it. Yeah. So I like this one. Just really proud of this one. Oops. Yeah, but does anyone have any questions? Yes, Dr. Johnson.
So does the University of South Carolina help you with the job searching process?
They do not.
Okay.
I will say one of my professors did. He helped me kind of look through everything and go through things. But I also feel like that was because we had built a relationship too. One of my other professors, I went in and I talked to her about a master's degree, and she was a little more like, well, you have to do XYZ to do a master's degree, and at this point you don't really have it. You probably should just go out in the field and then come back and do it. I definitely feel the professors here are a little more personable. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did you visit the career center?
I did. Yeah, I did. And that is another thing as well. If you guys don't have a LinkedIn already, start building your LinkedIn profile. It will help you immensely. Even if you think you don't need it. I didn't think I needed it until literally a month ago. I started mine a month ago because I was like, I'm not gonna use LinkedIn. But you can find so many jobs on there. You'll connect with people within your field. And I went to the career center. They helped me with my LinkedIn. They did a headshot for me. And they kind of led me in the right direction because I was very lost on what do I type in the search bar to look for a job? Like little things like that.
Other than research, what was your favorite class?
Oh boy. I would probably say last semester. So in my major, one of the classes you take as a senior is an environmental senior seminar. And we were able to choose a topic and research on it. And the first day he stood up in front of the class and he told us about it. And the last thing he said is he was like, don't make it boring. And I was like, okay, like I'll find something. I like to surf. So I looked at the sustainability of the surfboard industry and he just let me run with it. And I like interviewed a bunch of surfboard companies and I had companies like, they want to read my paper. I'm making like an infographic for some companies now. Companies sent me like boxes of like shirts and stickers and surfboard wax and stuff like that. And it was like super cool. And my whole class, like they really loved hearing about it too. And yeah, I think it was because it was the research again. Yeah.
So is the surfboard company business sustainable?
No,
Uh,
they're trying, but it's just very hard when everyone is so used to foam. And even like some brands are like, we use EPS foam, so it's good. It's like, no, it's not. But they're making strides. It's just a little hard when everyone's used to like these like small, fast boards and wood just cannot. They can't figure it out right now. So.
Doubts about your career path.
I turn the computer off, I go for a walk. That's it. I just go for a walk, I come back, and then I'm like, it's okay, you know what? The job market, my professor told me, he was like, it's probably going to take you 6 months to find a job. And I was like, that kind of stings because I don't want to be living in my parents' house for 6 months. But if I have to do it, then I have to do it. So I do that. I'll talk to my parents. And my parents are pretty, like, they're really good about reminding me, your first job is not going to be your last job. So you might take something that you really don't really want to do, but it's not going to be your last job, and it's helping me with experience.
So what is the starting pay?
Oh, it's rough. A lot of jobs, they don't post their salary. They'll ask you what you want. For me, I always say 50 because it's low, but if I'm starting out entry level, they're not going to be like, okay, here's $100 grand. Like, I can be like, okay, here you go. I've had a couple companies say 35 in big cities, and I was just kind of like, you guys looked at rent lately? Like, I can't do that. I can't live on that. But it really also depends on like where you go out to as well. I know with engineering firms, you can work your way up. Like, even though my degree is not in engineering, I could, after 5-10 years of experience, I could do environmental engineering, or I could do civil engineering. And then with research, the company I'm talking to hasn't said anything about salary. They just asked me what my minimum would be. And I was like, 50, but we'll see.
Can you talk a little bit more about the transferable skills that you've gained from research, and so how research has helped you in classes, in your job search, in all aspects?
Analyzing everything, especially with the jobs, like reading through and just kind of pulling out the key things and, well, what is it really going to mean? What am I really going to do? Because sometimes the jobs will say, like, they'll kind of be vague about what you're actually going to do, and then you can go on like their website, do a little more research about them, go on their websites, or there are now sites that kind of rate the company, take them with a grain of salt though, but they kind of rate the company, and past employers or current employers would kind of just talk a little bit about the company. So I'll go out and research them a lot. Also, I kind of think the hands-on aspect of research has helped me in the job search as well. I've applied for jobs in Fort Mill, and I'll go in and I'll be like, hey guys, here's a physical copy of my resume. I applied a couple of days ago. So like, what's up? Can I have an interview, please? Yeah, but I do a lot of that. I think the analyzing and then kind of like the hands-on aspect of like a physical resume versus just like the computer have been the biggest ones. Mhm.
How would you recommend students get involved in research if they're thinking this might be for them?
Just ask a professor. I mean, I think here, I would just say, literally just walk up and ask them if they have an opportunity. That's exactly how Andrew and I got one with Dr. Scarlett down at South Carolina. It's a little bit different. You have to go online. They're all, well, yeah, you guys do that here too. But I was just able to ask. But in South Carolina, all of my friends who do research, they've had to go online, look up the professors, read some of their papers. They sent them an email. Hey, my name's Emily. I'll be a junior in the fall. I'm really interested in your research. I read a couple of your papers. I really like where they're going. And then you kind of have to give them an idea about where they could take their research, is what I've been told. And then from there, I don't really know because I didn't have to do it, but I've heard that you have to go through like an interviewing process and then you do like starting. Some of the jobs down at USC Columbia, they do pay though. I know that because my roommate did one and she got paid.
There's a lot of money with NSF and probably a lot of the other funding agencies.
Mhm.
So if you have a project, you want to fund that project, if you add undergraduate research, you get additional money. So it's real popular.
Mhm. Yeah, some of the master's programs I was looking at, it was all schools paid for, and then I believe it was 26,000 a year. And I was like, okay, well, I
Luxury.
guess, yeah. Yeah.
And Emily, we have a question here from our Zoom audience. What topic has been your best research project you have done so far?
Definitely the essential oils and the hydrosols, just because I had to research so much about it. I was interested in it for like personal reasons. I love essential oils, so I already had like a little bit of background knowledge about it, and then I had to do so much research and I was so invested in it. I just loved it. So I would definitely say this one.
Thank you. Great
Yeah.
talk. Thank you.
Bye. There's something else.
This is more of a comment and a plug for Emily. But if you want to watch an undergraduate research interview with Emily, or if you want to hear the voiceover of her presentation, it is on the Research Club website. And so that's available as well. And if you want to look at her whole e-portfolio, that's also linked, I believe. So all of those things, if you want to look more into that, she's given us permission to share all of that on our website.
That's wonderful. Yeah, that is. That's really.
Yeah, it is help. I love looking at it, all the work that's gone into it, and when I have companies telling me like it's very impressive, it's very nice.
Anyone else have any other questions? Let's thank Emily.